We learn many things at school. When we're young, everything is new.
Yeah, and we learn so many different things.
However, for this week's podcast on English.com, we ask, is it more difficult to learn things, new things, when we get older?
And the reason we are asking this is because Richard is having golf lessons, and it's not easy.
It is not easy.
So, Richard, when did you first learn? I mean, not at school, not as a child.
No, not at all. These are actually my first ever golf lessons.
Okay, but you already had a bag of golf clubs. So when did you buy those?
Back in the year 2000.
Okay, so some time ago.
Yes, I played a little bit, but very badly.
So, lessons, Richard. What are you learning in your lessons now?
Well, I'm going back to basics.
Right.
Okay? In the lessons, you learn how to hold a club,
Right.
how to stand, and how to swing your arms and twist your body to hit the ball correctly.
It all sounds a bit complicated.
There are a lot of things to think about in a short period of time. It's a big problem.
Okay, but do you also have problems like moving your body? I mean, Richard, you're not getting any younger.
Yes, that is a big problem. I'm not very flexible. I'm very stiff, and it's actually quite painful, some of the movements.
Right, so the next day?
Oh, the next day as well, yes. Aches and pains the next day.
Right. So, Richard, you have a coach.
Yes, he tells me what to do, but then I also practice by myself.
Right.
And I also watch YouTube videos as well.
You find those quite useful.
I think they are, yes, definitely.
Okay, so I have to ask, why are you having the lessons?
I want to get better. I'm a bad player. But the real reason I'm learning golf again is to keep fit.
Oh, so it's making you fitter.
Well, to go around on a golf course is a lot of walking.
Right.
It's really quite tiring.
Right.
So I want to keep fit.
Okay. So you are actually learning a new skill, Richard.
It all feels very new and very strange, yes.
Because they do say it is much harder for older people to learn a new skill. I mean, for example, learning to drive a car. In general, the older you get, the harder it is to pass the test. I think 17-year-olds, they'll pass first time. 63% of them will pass first time.
Right.
But people over the age of 60, their pass rate, 33%.
Wow, that is a huge difference.
Yeah, well, they do say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Well, this old dog will keep trying.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Fluent Guys podcast, your go-to place for learning English with ease. I'm Syra.
And I'm Siam. Today, we're going to talk about a simple but important topic, how to talk about your daily routine in English. This is perfect for beginners looking to improve their speaking skills.
Yes, understanding how to describe your daily routine is a great way to practice speaking in English. It's something you can talk about every day.
Exactly. So, let's break it down. When talking about your daily routine, you usually use the present simple tense because it's about things you do regularly.
Right. For example, I could say, I wake up at 7 a.m. every morning. Notice how I use wake up to describe a regular action.
Yes, great example. You can follow that by talking about other regular actions, like, I brush my teeth, or eat breakfast. These are things we do every day.
Let's give our listeners a full example of a daily routine, step by step. I'll go first.
Sure, go ahead.
All right. I wake up at 7 a.m. every morning. After that, I brush my teeth and take a shower. I have breakfast at around 8 a.m. I usually eat toast and drink coffee. Then, I leave for work at 8:30 a.m. So, I've just shared a typical morning routine.
That's a great example, Sarah. Now, I'll try. I wake up at a.m. I do some stretching exercises, then I have a cup of tea. I start my work at a.m. I'll usually work from home, so I don't have to travel.
That's a good one, Siam. Notice how you included details like what you eat or when you start work. These details make your routine more interesting.
Yes, and don't forget to use time expressions like in the morning, at night, or specific times like at 8:30 to show when you do things.
That's a great tip. Also, to make your routine sound natural, you can use linking words like then, after that, or next to connect your sentences.
Absolutely. Let's help our listeners practice. If you're listening, try repeating after us. Ready? I'll say a sentence, and you can repeat it after me.
I wake up at 7 a.m.
Now your turn. Then, I brush my teeth.
Great job. You can practice this with your own routine. Just remember to keep it simple and clear.
And one last tip. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The more you practice, the better you'll get.
That's right. Practice talking about your daily routine in English every day, and soon it will feel natural.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope this helps you feel more confident talking about your daily routine in English. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with friends who want to improve their English.
See you next time, here on Affluent Guys.
Bye, everyone.
For this week's podcast in English.com, we're talking about something that everyone, I think, does, and that is leaving home.
Yeah, going out in the big wide world. And things we learn when we do leave home.
Yes. Now, of course, everybody's experience is different, but I think one of the first things is learning about money, how to use it, save it, spend it, etc. And I certainly remember the first thing I did was, opening my first bank account.
Yeah, I remember that. I felt very grown up.
Yes, I didn't feel grown up about paying bills for the first time, the rent, the electricity.
Yeah, budgeting, Richard. Budgeting for food and clothing, making sure you don't go overdrawn. I mean, all of those things to learn.
Yes, and talking about the rent, finding and choosing somewhere to live is probably the biggest and hardest thing.
Yeah, I think nowadays too, finding affordable accommodation is getting harder and harder for young people, including students going to university. Now,
I stayed in college, so that was
Yeah.
all provided, food and accommodation, fantastic.
Whereas I lived in a bedsit, first of all, tiny little room, hated it. And then I later shared a house with 7 other students.
Wow. After I left university, then I had to get a flat, and I shared it with 2 other
Men.
Well, obviously, the problem was one of these guys, he caused all of the mess and he did none of the clearing up.
It's a big thing, isn't it? It can really affect your whole life.
And it can affect your friendship as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. Now, another thing people learn to do when leaving home, Richard, is learning how to cook. I couldn't cook at all when I left home. I couldn't even boil an egg. But you're a bit better than me.
Yes, I used to look after myself as a child, actually. I used to cook my own meals, so that wasn't a problem for me.
Yeah, I found that a big learning curve. I do think nowadays it's easier to buy ready prepared meals, fast food, takeaways. But I think when we were younger, that was more difficult.
Yes.
We also talked about budgeting for clothes, Richard, but there's also washing them, of course. Now, I never had a washing machine. Everyone went to the laundrette. When I lived in London, there was one across the street, which was very handy.
Yes. In the 1980s, there were around 12,500 laundrettes in the UK. But now there are fewer than 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, practically everyone has their own washing machine now. So presumably, rented flats, they all have them too?
Yes, I did hear a few stories, though, of people taking their clothes home for their mums to wash.
And without your mum or parent or guardian telling you what to do when, you now have the freedom to organise your own time. But that's something to learn, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, you can stay out all night if you want, but is that a good thing? Yes, definitely balancing work or study life with a social life is something that you have to learn. So how about you, the listener? What was leaving home like for you?
And if you're going to leave home, are you looking forward to that?
Or not? We'd love to hear from you.